This is Dan Dix here, reporting for Press for Truth. I am currently surrounded by some cannabis plants, as you can see, and I'm also joined by my good friend, Chad Jackett. Chad, of course, is the president of the Cannabis Growers of Canada. He's also the founder of Liberty Farms, and he's the owner of grassroots medicinal.ca. And some of you may have heard, I'm sure, in the last few days, the news. We have an article here just out recently, LCBO to run 150 marijuana stores. So, Chad, we've kind of seen this coming down the road for a little while now, and they've just made the announcement. It looks like 150 LCBO-related stores are going to be getting into the cannabis business. I mean, what do you have to say about the latest news today?
Well, the biggest concern is, you know, not just the fact that the LCBO is getting involved in business in it, but they've announced that they want to shut down all the existing cannabis dispensaries in Ontario. So they want to shut down an already existing market, and a bunch of people's hard work and efforts that have been going into it are going to be, trampled over by the government and their very own tax dollars that probably most of these people are actually paying to the government right now. So it's a sad thing to see. The people that have stood by this industry for many, many years now really deserve a lot more credit than what they're getting, and to have it just handed over to the LCBO, which is really just a massive bureaucracy, and really it's now the unions are going to be just going crazy to keep this with the LCBO because it's a massively unionized organization. I don't know. I don't like what I'm seeing here at all, and we've seen this coming for a really long time.
Well, it almost seems like a massive, like a mob takeover. That's how I kind of liken this to. It's almost like some gangsters moving in and wiping out the small-time guys, and then just monopolizing an industry. So, I mean, as we've said, we've been warning about this a long time, and some of the newer regulations have just came out. And I want to get some of your thoughts. Maybe you can hold the mic for me. Yeah. And I'm going to show you right here. We have the latest. Now, this is just out from the Government of Canada announces funding for law enforcement in support of cannabis legalization and regulation. The current approach to cannabis does not work. It has allowed criminals and organized crime to profit, blah, blah, blah. We get to the point here. Today, the Government of Canada announces up to $274 million to support law enforcement and border efforts to detect and deter drug-impaired driving, yada, yada, yada. So they've just announced a couple days ago that they're ingesting $257 million, and this is in preparation for legalization. What does that tell you?
Well, it tells me, again, that it's a bunch of gangsters, like you said, that are now using a bunch of stolen money, i.e. tax dollars, to use it against the very people they stole the money from, and shut down a free market of, well, it's hard to say it was a free market because it's had the boot of the government on their throat the whole time as well. But an otherwise free market of entrepreneurs that are trying, to start, somewhere in business or have been in business for a very long time. And, it's really sad to see that the government uses our tax dollars against these people on a regular basis. And myself, I mean, I'm a cannabis person. I've been in this industry for a long time, and I love this. I love the people in this industry, and I hate to see them, get kicked to the curb on all this new legislation, right?
Well, another part of this new legislation that I think people are not aware of, that I want to get your views on, is the fact of what they're going to do to not only the medicinal benefits of the plant, but also the potency of even the recreational side of things. If you can hold this once more, I'll show you. Now, this one just came out not long ago, and this is talking about what the government has in store for regulating the potency. Now, look at this, people. THC potency. Over the last few decades, changes in growing and production techniques have resulted in cannabis products with higher levels of THC. The potency or concentration of THC is often expressed as a percentage of THC by weight of substance. It goes on and on. Essentially here, it says that back in the 1980s, it used to be around 3%. Now you can get it in upwards of over 30%. And some are suggesting that 15% should be the absolute maximum amount of THC you should be able to get into your body. And I've even heard, Chad, that the government wants to go as low as 8% THC. So if you do get your cannabis from these LCBO cannabis stores, they're not going to be medicinally beneficial, it seems, and they're only going to have about 8% THC in them.
Yeah, they're gonna have caps on them, and you know those 8% to 15% strains are going to be very expensive with a heavy tax burden on top of them. Just like, you know, the alcohol or the cigarettes that you buy. It's sad to see. You know, we're really in a country that people pride themselves on freedom, and they think we're in a free country, but we're really in one of the most heavily socialized countries in the entire world. You know, majority of the, you know, our tax dollars, or our income tax is not even used for the public. It's actually used to pay interest on private banks or the central banks. So it's a sad thing to see, and a lot of people protect this system because they think that there's just no other way way of life. And yeah, here we are again with another situation where I see socialism basically just taking over a movement, also taking over, you know, an industry, and trying to shift wealth from one group of people to another group of people. Yeah. You know, so.
And we've been warning about just that for a while now, constantly saying that they're getting their ducks in a line. They're getting their ducks in a line. They're preparing for legalization in order to monopolize the industry, capitalize on it, destroy the medicinal benefits. And that's precisely what they're doing. And now we're seeing it dished out through the Liquor Control Board of Ontario. I mean, you know, I made a meme the other day about, you know, talking about people who are using cannabis to get off of addictions. What about people who have addictions to the very serious drug of alcohol? And now they're associating their medicine with alcohol.
Well, exactly, and if that's what they're going to do and put them in the LCBOs with the liquor, then that's totally brutal. I kind of think that what they're going to do is it's the Liquor Control Board that's going to run it, but it's going to be a separate entity. They're going to open up their own stores, which is still, it's still your tax dollars shutting down a viable industry, and then calling, you know, people that were otherwise trying to operate a free market. You know, people that they're calling them black market, you know, criminals, and basically just running them through the mud, and basically, you know, these people are great, wonderful people, some of the nicest people that I've ever met in the cannabis industry, and they would give you the shirt off their own back. And for me, it saddens me to see the propaganda being used against people that don't even know how to counter it, and they don't know, you know, what to do and how to stand up for themselves right now, you know?
Well, the good news there is that we do know how to do that. We know how to counter this. We've been doing it for a long time. In fact, Chad helped us put together the Trudeau Deception over 2 years ago now, which laid out everything we are seeing right now with the cannabis plan and the current takeover in Canada. But there's more good news to this story. The fight isn't over, people. They say they're going to legalize cannabis by July 1st of 2018. That's probably another, you know, ridiculous date that's going to be pushed back or something. But it's not happened yet. We're getting our ducks in a line as well. So tell people how they can get involved if they want to, you know, try to steer this back into the direction it needs to go.
Well, what we need is strength in numbers. We need to just get together, and we need to have our voices heard in a professional, organized manner. And the Cannabis Growers of Canada is an organization that I put together to be a vehicle and a voice for the people for that situation. If we have to use it to challenge the system in a legal manner, then that's something that we can explore. If it's, you know, a lot of it is lobbying and awareness, and just actually letting them know that we are a viable industry, we are professionals, and we're here, and we should be at the table to be able to talk with them. If we don't have ourselves a professional organization, if we're all just, you know, sitting in our basements or in our outbuildings or wherever, hoping that we can be included in the industry, and somehow it happens just by fluke, well, it's not going to happen. You have to go to them, and you have to go to them in a professional and very strong manner, and let them know that this is what the people want, you know, and that we've been around for a really long time, and this is an industry that you're just trying to steal from one group of people and give to another, and that we should be allowed. BC Bud is not, you know, something that was created just overnight by a stroke of a pen by a bunch of bureaucrats. And, that's a name that they're now trying to hijack. And BC Bud should be a part of this industry, and we should be recognized as a viable, economic part of Canada, and that we've been contributing for a very long time.
Exactly. And that's precisely why we need the grassroots bottom-up approach at this, not the top-down seeking for the government to solve the issues that are created by the government.
And that's why they've done what they've done, because they've seen such a groundswell effect of the people, and that's what they always do. The state always tries to put its face on movements. So when you've got something like cannabis in the internet, and they're watching us all talk about the medicinal properties of this plant and the wonders of it, they're watching that too. And all they're going to do is say, well, we got to figure out how to hijack this movement, just like they've done every other movement in the past. They do it to everything. Any groundswell effect, any grassroots movement, the government tries to leap forward and get ahead of you to try to act like it's them that's done it. And don't be fooled. It's the people. That's the reason they're doing this right now, because they're afraid of the groundswell effect. Otherwise, we wouldn't have legalization. It wouldn't be here. We wouldn't have it even to the point where we are now. Yeah.
Well, you know how they say it's a gateway drug? Well, the gateway has just opened, and the doors to legalization are opening. We can go various numbers of directions when we do enter through that door. So I hope you guys will check the links in the description and join the Cannabis Growers of Canada and help Chad in this fight, help us all in this fight to get cannabis legalization back to where it needs to be.
Absolutely. Contact us. I'm Chad at cannagrowers.ca. My wife is Tanya with an IA, Tania. There's also Tanya C. She's just Tanya with a Y. You can contact her, or Dawn at Canna Growers. Any of us you can speak to. And we do lab testing at Cannabis Growers of Canada. That's what this is all about as well. We have a Health Canada approved laboratory that we get our stuff tested and approved through. We have an approval method that we go through. And all we have to do is prove to these bureaucrats that are trying to put us out of business that we are good people, we're viable people, and to the public. And the public really needs to get behind this as well. If they want to see craft cannabis, if they want to have a free market and not some watered down type of legalization, then they need to get behind the Cannabis Growers of Canada as well. So everybody needs to get behind us. We need donations and really whatever we can get, information from people. We really just need help from every angle we can possibly get right now, because they are coming at us from every angle in the other direction. So we need everything we can get to throw at this.
Help stop the monopolization of the cannabis industry and the takeover of cannabis in Canada. Check the links below. And check out this brief message right now from our good friends at the Cannabis Growers of Canada.
British Columbia, home to the most beautiful landscapes in the world. Home to mom and pop vineyards, hot springs, farmers markets, some of the world's best skiing, snowboarding, surfing, and mountain biking. We protect our rainforests and keep our air clean. BC, we strike the right balance between nature and nurture. But did you know that for the last 30 years, BC has also been home to the finest cannabis in the world? BC Bud is world-renowned for its taste, aroma, and potency. We've competed and won cups, gained recognition from international celebrities. We are the Cannabis Growers of Canada. We create wealth, opportunity, and good-paying private sector jobs. The BC cannabis crop is worth over $7 billion a year, and there were over 17,000 farms creating work for Canadians and improving the lives of millions of people. We are joining together to build a free and fair cannabis market that benefits all Canadians. Won't you come and join us at cannagrowers.ca?